Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Con inaugural event of 2024. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We have the top four teams here at our team open, and a lot of these players have locked up a bunch of points for the seasonal leaderboard, as well as some money and other prizes. But this is a rubber match. They're looking for some invites as well.
Yeah, trying to get to that invitational in November as well as the upcoming regional championships. So a ton on the line here, and we have 4 teams left.
Yeah, and these top four teams here have each locked up $700 to split amongst themselves. I say 233.33. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I'm not bad. I'm
Two
okay
and a
at
bunch of
math.
threes.
Second place is guaranteed $900, so that's $300 apiece, and then first place is $1,500, aka $500 apiece. So these players are playing for a hefty amount of cash, and we got them seated in the feature match area. Do you want to tell us about a little bit what we're going to be watching this round?
Yeah, so we're going to be watching the team that we watched win in the quarterfinals of Brian Baker, Scotty Doolittle, and Dylan Ham. And they're going to be battling one of our biggest name teams left in the tournament. That is May French, Jacob Fumich, and Don Delosier. Thanks.
Yeah.
And Don Delosier. So, heavy hitters, both teams we've seen on camera playing very, very well. And we're going to be starting with the modern match this time. That is Dylan Ham on 4-color Omnath against Don Delosier on a Domain Rhinos.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm a big fan of Don, May, and Fumich's team, and I've been rooting for them all event. I am biased. I'm sorry. But this is a matchup where I think all three matches are unfavorable, and I would be surprised if they won.
Yeah, going to be a tough one. We know May French is on that Teamer World Souls Rage deck. She's going to be playing against Esper mid-range, a deck that has, a clock, discard, and counter spells.
No More Lies plus Deep Cavern Bat is like a, for combo decks, like a...
That's the trifecta for beating combo decks, and ramp, especially this kind of ramp deck, is a combo deck. And then in the middle seat, it's going to be a rematch from our quarterfinals. Vampires for Jacob Fumich against Scotty Doolittle on the Nivtalite deck, a match we just saw him win 2-0.
Right. And then lastly, Don Delosier with Rhinos. I think slight underdog to the Omnath strategy. They've been beating up on Rhinos for about 20 years now. And the addition of the Leyline Binding Scion stuff, they have Leyline Bindings of their own to deal with Leyline of the Guild Pack. They have some sweeper effects somewhere in the 75 to deal with Sign of Draco.
Supreme Verdict in the main deck.
Yeah, so, a very prepared Dylan Ham is someone to keep an eye out for. So we're going to head on down to the feature match area and watch Dylan Ham face off against Don Delosier in this Omnath versus Rhinos matchup in Modern. The 4 seed on your left, Don, will be on the play, and we have played land number 1 each, and now we are in turn number 2.
Yeah, looks like Dylan's first land was one of those Surveil lands and putting an Omnath into the graveyard with it.
Meticulous Archive. That's the Azorius one.
Yeah, one of several in his 4-color list.
Yeah. I think it would behoove most Magic players to memorize the names of every one of those because they are going to be around a long time, and they're going to be great for a long time. Although I still don't know all the pathways, and they're all great, and I play with them. Black-red pathway, Black-red Surveil land.
It's not fair with the pathways because there's really 20 of them.
That's true. I don't know that I could name 10 front and backs, let alone 20 front and backs. Sign of Draco to play for Dawn on 2, just a pass from Ham. No protection on the Scion, though, so unlikely to survive too long, but Dylan doesn't have an answer just yet. 4-ball coming across.
And I think I see some Teferis in Dylan's hand, and they're going to be a little slow in this matchup if Dawn can have a Cascader here. And there's a Shardless Agent.
Yeah, and is going to make some Rhinos. Dawn no slouch with Rhinos. We've seen her compete here quite often with variations on the archetype.
Looks like a counter spell for Dylan Ham.
Yeah, but it's going to require a Fetch Shock. Puts Dylan in a spot where it doesn't have the best mana in the world and also takes a good bit of damage. Find second white source. That has to mean Supreme Verdict in hand, right? Meticulous Archive into Hallowed Fountain.
You would think so.
Yeah, maybe.
Now a Flooded Strand, so that one not really helping the mana either, unless he wants to deal himself even more damage.
Basic Plains is fine. I wonder if there's going to be a Teferi minus to just bounce Scion to buy some time. Dylan's under the gun. Here it is. Any force negations? Any subtleties? Oh,
There is a subtlety.
oh,
That is
oh, oh,
excellent.
oh.
Now, Dawn low on resources, but very far ahead on the battlefield.
And fire, ice in hand to tap the land down, so there's no chance of supreme verdict.
Ooh, are we going for a 3-drop?
Undo. Another Shardless,
Oh,
okay.
Dawn just saying you don't have supreme verdict.
Maybe she's right. Do you got a Dylon? No, he doesn't have it. Dawn steals a scorcher of a game 1, taking it down. Dylan Ham just did not have the answers.
No fear. Just put it on the table. They don't have it.
No, never did.
Love it.
Did he put the Teferi on top or bottom?
Not sure.
It's top. Maybe not so good. Okay, as these players are shuffling and sideboarding for game 2, we're going to stick with them because mostly I just want to talk about sideboards, and they play really quickly, and so I want to watch this whole match, and then we'll move to some of the backups because we know Doolittle's going to be a while.
Yeah. We'll start with Dylan Ham. Looking at his sideboard, he has the Kahira, the Orphan Guard as a companion. The rest of it is 1 copy of Boseiju Who Endures, 1 Celestial Purge, 2 Endurance, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 1 Mystical Dispute, 1 Pick Your Poison, 2 Subtlety, and 2 Veil of Summer. Celestial Purge is an interesting one because it can also exile a Leyline of the Guild Pact, but I don't think that's enough functionality because you already have other answers to Leyline.
Yeah.
The Hallowed Moonlights seem great. The Pick Your Poison is a way to answer the Scion of Draco plus Leyline combo if you need to.
Answers either half, depending on what's in play.
And either half, so I really don't mind that.
I think Pick Your Poison is one of the best sideboard style cards printed in a long time. It's got big Veil of Summer vibes.
Yeah, I agree. And then, not sure how I feel about the counter spells. Mystical Dispute can counter a Subtlety, a Lorien Revealed, a Teferi, but it doesn't counter the card. It doesn't hit Leyline of the Guild Pact, and it doesn't counter Crashing Footfalls. So maybe it's good enough, especially if you expect Dawn to bring in more, blue cards. Because there's, her Mystical Disputes are a lot better because they hit Omnath and counter spells. So you probably need to bring in your disputes just to fight hers. But really, the Hallowed Moonlights are the star of the show. That's just such a great answer to Crashing Footfalls.
All right, on the other side of the table, Dawn Delogeur's Rhinos deck. This, 4-color variant, 5-color variant with Leyline bindings and such. What do you think is going to be coming in on that side?
She has 2 copies of Blood Moon that I don't mind. Maybe you don't want them on the draw. Even though it's a 4-color deck, we see frequently Blood Moon not do enough in this matchup. But I will definitely want it on the play should we go to a game 3. There's also a Curse Totem, 2 Dismember, 2 Endurance, 2 Force of Negation, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Mystical Dispute, 1 Radiant Flames, and a 3rd copy of Teferi Time Raveler. I want the Teferi. There's plenty of counter spells on the other side, and I want the Disputes to fight those counter spells, but not sure about Force of Negation. That's an interesting one because there are a lot of spells in the deck, but a lot of them are instants. It's so good against the One Ring.
It's so good against the One Ring, and so good against the Teferi Time
Raveler. You probably need it.
Yeah, I think so.
All the counter spells.
All right, well, they are drawing their opening hand, so let's head on back down to the modern match and see how the mulligans go. Dawn's going to be on the draw here for game number 2 after that blistering start in game number 1. Dylan Ham just didn't have the right answers and got rolled. Turn 5 kill.
Yeah, that's what this Rhinos deck is capable of if you cannot stop it.
All right, looks like we are ready to go. Dylan Ham going to be on the play. Misty Rainforest is the land. Likely going to go get one of the Triomes to turn on Domain, but it can also go get a Surveil land if that's unnecessary. And Lush Portico is defined. I found, not Crumbling Necropolis. It's Xander's Lounge plus Lush Portico is a really nice two-land combo in a lot of the Domain decks.
Very much so. And Xander's Lounge is the lone Triome in Ham's list.
Yeah, because you can go turn 1 Lush Portico, turn 2 fetch the Triumph, and still cast the Leyline Binding for 1, and have perfect mana and get a Surveil. It's just like the best of all the worlds. I did it a lot when I was playing the Rhinos deck. And
you just play all the banned fetch lands, so they all find the Portico. That's just good deck building.
There it is. Xander's Lawn from Dawn, likely going to fetch Temple Garden as land number 2. That color combination of green-white into Grixis is just a nice little domain grab. Father John Misty. Fetching down to 16.
It says, I want my green-white dual land untapped. I got stuff to do.
Scion of Draco. You know, when Scion of Draco first was printed, everyone's trying to shove it in those Wild Nacatl decks, right? But they all didn't realize that it was very difficult to play on turn 2 while also playing a 1-drop creature.
Yep.
And once everyone figured out that you should just play like Scion in a little bit slower of a deck, it got a lot better.
But now it's just super easy. You just lay that on the Guild Pact.
That's true too. And now you can have any 2 lands, including fetch lands. Here's a Teferi Time Raveler. That's going to bounce Scion of Draco.
Yeah, great play from Dylan Ham. Deals with the immediate threat and stops any potential of turn 3 Cascade from Dawn.
Land number 3.
One thing to note, Dillingham did play a Boseiju as his land. That signifies no other untapped lands in the hand. Maybe no other lands, period.
Yeah, good call. And here is an answer for the Teferi with Leyline Binding main phase and Scion of Draco.
One ring comes off the top for Dylan. Yeah, I don't think he has land 4.
What if you go bounce the one with the bounce the binding, get the other one back, bounce the Draco? Is that anything?
You get to draw another card, but they also get a Leyline Binding effectively.
But they're just going to play it on your Teferi again. So it's just like slowing them down.
So is a random card for you worth a Leyline Binding for them? Probably
if you're
not.
missing land drops, I think it is.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Oh, but we had the answer anyway, Subtlety. And we're going to put that on the bottom of the deck. Land number 3? No, back Dawn's way. Or land number 4, excuse me. Teferi Time Raveler of her own. Dawn picks up, and here's a Scion Bash.
Dawn could have... Okay, you would have run afoul of the Solitude. No, you wouldn't have run afoul of Solitude. So you could have played the Teferi pre-combat. If Dylan doesn't have the Solitude, you can bounce your own Leyline Binding and then attack the Teferi down and effectively draw an extra Leyline Binding.
Yeah, that'd have been cool, but maybe Dawn's got bigger plans for that 4 mana. Something face down. It's Ardent Plea. Here comes Crashing Footballs. We love it, folks.
I see a prismatic ending. That can answer one Rhino. Oh my god. Dylan found the 4th land. For the bad news, it's a second Boseiju.
Huh. Alright, Footfalls resolves. We get 2 Rhinos. We're passing turn, shortcutting. Dylan gonna draw for turn. Cast Leyline Binding. See what the target is. Yeah. Probably Leyline Binding on Teferi.
Oh, yeah. Then you bounce one of the Rhinos, and then you have Prismatic Ending for the other Rhino, but you need a white source for that. Could have used the second Boseiju on this Leyline Binding.
Can we get some Rhino tokens in play?
Yeah. So Dawn there using her Leyline Binding with Ham's binding trigger on the stack. So when it goes to resolve, it's not on the battlefield, so it doesn't exile anything. And Ham having the Boseiju to just break everything up. So draws another card, still can't find land 4, and there's still a Rhino left over for Dawn that can clear away this Teferi. Ham does have Prismatic Ending in hand that can clear away the Rhino and stop any more pressure to his life total, but needs to find a 4th land where Dawn needs to find another threat to keep the pressure on. Thundering Falls surveilling for Delosier.
Must be an okay one. Ooh, benches of Fire Ice, but we have an answer to Teferi rolled up, so I kind of like it. It's aggressive. Teferi down.
When your opponent's stuck on lands, I like icing a land.
But I like bouncing Ardent Plea, playing a land, and then making some more guys. You think that's good? Or
okay, I like that too.
Good or it's pretty good.
I think I do see a Supreme Verdict in Ham's hand. So if you can find a 4th land that is
a white
source specifically, yeah. I don't know how many of those he has.
Every fetch land gets Temple Garden, I believe.
Yeah, there's Hallowed Fountain, Temple Garden, and Sacred Foundry. So any fetch or one of those 3 shocks will do it.
This is one of the coolest parts of the new builds of Rhinos. Even though you lost File Not Burst, that instant speed, the Ardent Plea being a permanent that you can bounce with Teferi is just such a beating in these like really long and grindy games.
And there's another prismatic ending off the top. Can only cast one of them. Will answer one of the Rhinos. But Dylan is about to take an 8 spot to the dome.
Yeah, there's a Scion coming too, but it might run afoul of that verdict if Dillinham's able to draw a second white source next turn. Here's a big attack, 8-ball, corner pocket.
Yeah, opponent's stuck on 3 lands. Gotta suspect the verdict, and Dawn does.
Okay. Looks like a tapped blue-green land. Prismatic ending.
That prismatic ending doesn't reduce the clock at all because of the Exalted on Ardent Plate. So
right.
This last Rhino will be chunking in for 5 at a time with Dylan and 10.
I'm going to bench a binding. One finds another land, but oh, it does still have Lush Portico in the deck, so it can at least find a Surveil land. Dylan down to 5. Needs an answer. Finds Teferi Time Raveler. Has a copy of the One Ring. Has Omnath. A lot of options.
Yeah, there's a lot of powerful stuff. You might see the One Ring to protect for a turn, and then Omnath, you draw 3 cards, but 4 cards, plus 1 from the Omnath. 5 more. You see 5 more cards. If you can find a fetch land in there, this game could turn around in a hurry.
Okay, Dawn here. Going to be looking for a little bit of protection. The One Ring is pretty scary, but Ham's on a very low life total.
Ham might have found that 4th land just in time.
All right, there's the Lush Portico.
Nothing in the way of haste damage in this Domain Rhinos deck.
All right, land down. One Ring is in fog mode. Dylan going to upkeep, draw a card. In response, Dawn is going to play Binding on it. Does that keep you from drawing a card because the burden counter didn't get put on it? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think so.
Wild.
It would use last known information, so heady play there from Dawn Delosier.
The spot where the questing beasts from the last Modern Pro Tour would have been quite a good draw here, right? But such a weird card that costs a lot.
Yeah. Does Dawn try to put more power on the battlefield to set up lethal for next turn? I guess you still don't need a piece of Ardent Plea, so yeah, like could bounce the Ardent Plea and recast it, losing the Teferi. Instead, plays conservatively, knowing that her opponent's hand is unlocked and he's going to have a lot more options.
That's Ren in 6.
So
it's got to be. Oh,
yeah, Teferi Zone is excellent. That'll stop the Ardent play and deal with the Rhino.
Force is a draw for Dylan. Not the best.
Now, not much in the way of action here for Dawn.
Well, we can play Sign of Draco. And Dylan does not currently have a way to deal with it or gain life.
He has a verdict.
He doesn't have 2 white.
Oh, still doesn't have double white. Okay.
The Omnath needs a land to gain some life.
Yeah, and we can cast the Omnath.
Okay, looks like we're going to bounce Leyline Binding to get back Leyline Binding to hit the Teferi. And draw a card.
So, does this mean Dawn
Someone give them
another...
subs?
He gave
20. 20? Who gave 20? Oh, Ruckaduck. Thank you so much for the gift. That's super kind of you. Here's an Ardent Plea. This is going to make some Rhinos. We are shoving.
Yeah, Dawn going all in here. And it's going to come down to this turn if Dylan can find the second white source.
All right. Dylan needs a white source. Oh, it's an island! It's an island! You can play Ren in 6.
Oh.
And that gets back a fetch land. Wow.
So had it rolled up with the Wren.
Truth. All right, Don and Shambles. Looks like we're going to be heading to a game 3 maybe. Still low on life. Not completely out of it, but a lot of tools to work with now that Don is basically on empty. Yeah, 20 is a lot. Thank you so much for the subs. That's wild. Thank you. Enjoy the no ads, except for our ads.
Can't escape those. Another Cascader for Dawn. That is awesome.
That's heat.
But Dylan does now have the Ren and 6 to get a fetch land to go with the Omnath.
All right.
So can end this turn at 7. Even potentially go up to 11 if he wants to forego the mana with Omnath and fetch on Dawn's turn.
Tapping 4. Here comes the Elemental. We're going to draw a card. Counter spells to pick up.
This feels like Dawn needed to find one more piece of disruption. She had one extra subtlety this game or force, anything like that. I think would have had enough to close it out. Now things are getting dicey.
Another Leyline Binding. We're going to take the one that's got Teferi on it. Now Teferi's going to come down. Bounce one of the tokens. Draw a card.
Now is a counter spell back.
Life total should be a little bit higher for Ham if he didn't miss the Omnath trigger. I guess there's some chance that he did. Dawn draws for turn. Hand seems like lands.
This Rhino is still a formidable attacker, though, because of the double Ardent Plea.
Yeah,
so it's attacking for 6. Could try to attack down the Ren. Because I don't think going face is going to do enough with the Omnath going.
Well, attacking face for 6 kind of threatens Fire Ice of being lethal and might induce a block.
Yeah.
Oh, but we can always fetch and gain more life, so it's just out of reach. Okay, Dawn packs it in. A fine concession, and we have a game 3 between Dylan Ham's Domain deck and... Omnath deck and Don DeLozure's Domain Rhinos.
Yeah. Don played a little slow one turn, holding back the Scion, but then played it all in the other turn and got burned for that sequencing.
All right, while they're shuffling up for game number 3, let's head on to the middle match, the Vampires versus Niv, and we'll check in. We'll get our spotter to give us some updates on life totals, game count, things like that. We have, looks like a full-on Rakdos Vampires board full of little creatures, and Scotty Doolittle with not a whole lot going on, it looks like. 4 lands only, maybe no Wrath effect.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's been up to much of anything this game.
Looks like he got his hand ripped apart with 3 Thoughtseize in the grave. Whew. It's a Leyline Binding. I figured it out. It's a Leyline Binding.
It's a Vanishing Verse, isn't it?
It is a Vanishing Verse, but it looks like a Leyline Binding because they're all the same. I think Vanishing Verse is in hand, and I think that's a Leyline Binding. That is
okay.
See, I was
God,
right.
They look the same.
Yeah, they do. Not great. Okay, we got a Mutavault we can fire up, and we can send in. We're not 100% on the life totals here, but we're just doing a little look in here to see what's going on. Getting a lot of treasures. Doolittle here. Looks like we're going to be force blocking, maybe versing a 2/2. Maybe just taking it all.
The Caryatid jumped in front of a Goblin Shaman.
All right, and that means Jacob Fumich wins 2-0 and puts his team up a match. Now, we can move over to the standard seed as well because they might be about to finish too, and we really don't want them to finish off camera. If we could also maybe hold the Dawn match too, that'd be nice. Make sure that we bring out as much magic as possible here.
Looks like they're just drawing hands, so we can put the kibosh on them, see what's going on in standard, and then get back to modern if need be. Fumich getting revenge for Chase Martin, his fallen vampire brethren.
I think we're safe to watch the modern match. May is down a game currently.
Okay.
And so Scotty lost, so even if Brian wins, the modern match still has to decide it after.
Okay, sounds good.
May would have to win 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games with the world. Okay, so here's the deal. May's got to win 2 games for the match to be over. So we're gonna move straight into the modern match. Don and Ham are underweight, so let's go ahead and head on over there and watch that.
So the team of French, Fumich, and Delozier is 1 match up, but down a game in the standard match. So needing to either win both remaining games in that or have Don carry the day here in modern. And both of us think that that standard matchup is tough for May.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's also a judge call there.
Okay, well, we'll just chill. Ain't no big deal. We know that the Esper deck is quite strong against the World Soul Ramp deck, and Esper is currently up a game. May's got to win back-to-back to clinch the victory for the team. Dawn and Ham, Rhinos versus Omnath. Dawn's on the play here, and if Dawn wins this game, then their team wins as well. Fumich defeats Doolittle with Vampires 2-0.
This is the big game because Brian Baker is going to be a huge favorite to take down that standard match up a game and in a favorable matchup. So this third game here in modern is likely the decider, but not guaranteed to be the decider.
All right, Xander's Lounge is the first land for Dawn. Let's see if we have a fetch sign of Draco. No. Suspend Crashing Footfalls. I did see a Lorien Revealed over there, so it looks like land number 3 is rolled up.
But the turn 2 Suspend Crashing Footfalls is...
You gotta do what you gotta do, Ross.
It's just not great.
Just runs headfirst into a Teferi a lot. Okay, Lorien Revealed cycled.
Dylan also not up to much in the opening turns of this game, but as we know with the Cascade decks, it is turn 3 when the fireworks start shooting off.
We are in Thunder Junction.
But we also don't follow the rules of Thunder Junction because we're outlaws.
I'm not an outlaw.
So maybe we're incredibly
I'm not
polite
committing
and
crimes.
well behaved. Because it doesn't seem like anybody in Thunder Junction is well behaved. So that's the true outlaw way.
Okay.
Given the milieu of the
Here, Shardless Agent, 10 power on turn number 3. Does Dylan have any answers? I don't know. End of turn, we're going to Binding a token. That's something of an answer.
That's a good sign for Dawn. You're pretty happy to just take that kind of card advantage and your opponent using spot removal to clean up these rhinos.
A quick Misty fetch, and I believe Dylan has a Teferi Time Raveler, so he could go bounce your token, and then it's gone forever, and then can maybe Solitude the Shardless Agent to keep the Teferi alive, and that would be quite the sequence.
It would be. It'd be a lot of cards.
Yeah, but Teferi's worth a lot of cards.
Yeah, especially with the Crashing Footfalls already in suspend. So if you can keep this Teferi alive for a couple more turns, you get another key threat for your troubles.
Dylan here is going to go for the Solitude play. Dawn can't respond thanks to the Teferi's static effect. Going to go up to 19. Now we'll see if she has any way to pressure. I see a sign of Draco.
Yep. There's Scion Island and 2 unknowns in Dawn's hand. Fire Ice would be a nice one here.
Agree. I believe I saw Lorien Revealed, so if one of the last 2 is a land, we can maybe draw 3 cards next turn and refuel. Might want to cycle it, but that seems pretty loose when you're at 4 lands already.
Renin 6 for Dylan is not going to help protect this Teferi.
No, but it does get a land back, and if there's a Leyline Binding, we can.
Yeah, looks like a couple lands and a Mystical Dispute in hand for Dylan, so gonna... Ooh, maybe it was 1 land Mystical Dispute and a key answer. Maybe another Binding?
The way he was playing, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I didn't see it in his hand, so...
Oh, it was a Boseiju, so it was a land, but it's the best land!
Yes, it's the best land with Renin 6, and none of Don Delozier's permanents are going to matter too much come next turn. Alright, land number 5, though, with the Boseiju. Does it enter untapped with Boseiju? It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think this is prime time to just Cast to draw 3.
Yeah, just reload.
Any land with a basic land type.
But you're drawing 3. This Crashing Footfalls is effectively dead. And you're still staring down this combo of Teferi, Ren, and 6.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
We had a land drop for the turn.
And I
That's
think
sick.
Dawn found a Leyline Binding off the
I agree.
Lorien Revealed, so that will answer the Teferi and make this Crashing Footfalls a threat.
Nicely done from Dawn. The Boseiju, obviously a great card, but has a significant drawback in that it gives your opponent an untapped land in response for their card.
And Dylan is very low on resources himself. Sanda's Mystical Dispute, Flooded Strand. The Dispute is not going to do anything against this Crashing Footfalls because it gets cast in Dawn's upkeep when all of her lands are untapped. You can't pass the turn, though. We got to main phase a Leyline Binding.
Well, if the Leyline Bind does get main phase, if it targets Teferi, then Ren 6 just ticks up, gets Boseiju, blows up the binding, gets back to Teferi, draws a card. So it's probably got to target the Ren 6.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, Boseiju once again just showing off.
Yep. Ren 6 down.
But we do answer the Ren 6. Now, we don't have Crashing Footfalls for Dawn, but still nothing going for Dylan Ham.
All right. We can get a Surveil land to make our next draw better, but Crashing Footfalls goes away forever. Teferi Time Raveler of our own. Fire Ice no longer good enough to kill the Teferi, but I think there's another binding over there. I wonder if we have binding into another Cascader. That'd be sick.
That would be nice.
Looks like Dawn is going to start with Teferi, and this is basically gonna force Dylan, if he has a counterspell, to play it now on the Teferi. So I think that's what Fumich is signifying with tapping that one. Here's the Time Raveler.
3 mana up to pay for Mystical Dispute.
Dylan might be considering casting the Mystical Dispute here on it just to tap Dawn out. We're going to surveil with the Archive first.
Yeah, I'm going to check the top. If it's a key threat, then he's more incentivized to force Dawn to tap out.
Do you pay the 3? They don't ask that in Commander. They ask, do you pay the 1?
Pay.
Easy pay. You're not even doing anything this turn.
Pay.
You're just going to draw a card or tick up.
Dawn giving it a long think, though. Some stuff she wants to do, I guess.
Just nothing seems that relevant. I see a Fire Ice.
The Teferi is relevant because it can bounce Dylan's spare Leyline Binding and then unlock the Ren 6.
Ah.
So Dawn may be thinking about utilizing the Fire Ice to stop Teferi from doing that for a while. But that really just leaves you very resource light.
Yeah, we call that a losing line. Doesn't mean that it's not the only line or whatever, but now the question is, do you just draw a card? Because your Teferi's probably not long for the world. If I'm Ham, I don't even know if I'm popping my Teferi next turn. I might just tick up again. Wait for it to be at 4 so that it doesn't die on the minus. So yeah, Dawn's just going to draw a card. I like it.
Okay.
Finds a Scion. That's a big one.
It's a gooder.
Expressive iteration off the top. I don't see that one too often these days, but
that one's a gooder.
Remember when people thought they should ban that card? Like me and you both thought they should? But then they made the One Ring, Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah. Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah. Context changes. Okay. We are going to go ahead and bounce my own binding. And we're going to binding your binding, get back Ren. And then Ren tick up, get Boseiju.
Looks like it now Ren tick down, deal with the Teferi,
which
then allows Dawn to Fire Ice the Ren.
Nice.
So the bounce, the using her own Teferi last turn, not only got her an immediate card, but also incentivized Ham to make this play and leave the Ren 6 vulnerable.
All right, Kahira is the buy. We're going to go back in just a moment to Dawn. We got Sign of Draco, we got Fire Ice, so we got some pressure and we got an answer.
This is a solid turn for Dawn. Answer your only relevant non-land permanent. Make a threat.
Honestly, Fire Ice kind of weak in the matchup, and definitely weak after turn 2 or 3, where you're trying to like tap down their land to keep them from casting their Teferis and Verdicts. So being able to knock off this Ren 6 here when you're basically at parity is nice.
Very, very nice. Losh Portico leaves the card on top.
Fly Swatter. Verdict in hand for Dylan, so does have an answer.
Dawn deciding not to play the Scion, potentially having a Subtlety in hand?
Yeah, that's the one. We'll see if Dylan has anything that walks into it other than Kahira. There it is. You fired off Dawn. It is going to catch that counterspell, but I think that's just fine.
Yeah, I would be very happy to trade for the counterspell.
Yeah, and Dylan does want to fight over it, so use your mana, trade your resources, and now you go back your way and shields are down, and it's Kahira versus your whole hand.
Yeah, now Dawn gets to resolve the Scion, which trumps the Kahira. There's a Supreme Verdict in Ham's hand, so if Dawn gets a little out of hand, he can reset the battlefield. Force a negation off the top for her.
All right, Scion, here we go. Fetch for Dylan down to 13. Likely going to go get another Surveil land if it's in the deck. Such a powerful effect to go tutor for every turn. The downside, obviously, your land's tapped. The upside, they count as their basic land types, so they make Leyline Binding cost less. It's just such an easy trade-off for Modern.
And normally tapped lands are more punishing in older formats, but Modern just has so many free spells these days that you often have a spare mana.
Omnath's a pickup. Do we Verdict first? Maybe not, because Scion just doesn't matter. It's just not scary.
Yeah, no reason to blow the Verdict. Your Omnath's a 5/5. You're gaining 4 life a turn to negate the Scion.
All right, a lot of life for Dylan Ham. Dawn's got some catching up to do.
Needs to find another Cascader, I think.
Looks like she is going to Leyline Binding that Omnath.
Could have done that with the draw trigger on the stack, stopped Dylan from gaining 4 life. But maybe would have used Leyline differently. Dylan played another threat.
All right. Attack for 3 with Kahira. The race is on. Ham just has lands and Verdict. We'll see if he wants to fire it off to kill just the Scion. I think no. Gonna wait.
And you got to figure if Dawn draws another threat, she's going to play it to increase his clock, and then you can play your Verdict.
Well, there's Teferi. That's a pretty big pickup.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dawn's got the answer, though. We got at least one Force Negation over there. I think we got 2. I don't know if we can cast both. Hard cast, anyway.
One of them will definitely be cast here on this Teferi.
All right. Force Negation works.
Okay. Next few draw steps could decide this entire match. See who punches their ticket into the finals on the first Apex Invitational Qualifier of 2024. Nothing off the top for Dawn. And when does Dylan feel forced to fire it off? Yeah, before he goes to 1.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You want to keep your ability to fetch, maybe for another Surveil land, or to just make an Omnath do cool stuff. Got to 2 for 1 yourself, though. It's not really a 2 for 1. The Kahira came for free.
That's true. Came at the cost of not playing cool creatures, though.
No. You play all the cool creatures anyway. They're already elementals.
That's true. Remember last year when people were just going Risen Reef crazy for a little while? That was fun. All right. Dawn getting a Surveil here off the Thundering Falls. Going to Surveil the top card. Looking for any threat to help close the game. She's at 6. Her life total not as relevant as Dylan Ham's. Dylan at 5. Puts Mystical Dispute into the graveyard. I like it.
Yeah, way too much mana around for something like that. We have a force as well.
4 turns from now, I shall have a pair of rhinos to close the game. Ren and 6. This has to meet a counterspell. It's just worth too much with the Beseiju.
It's effectively worth Omnath and a Leyline Binding at the very least.
No! Counterspell off the top! Ren and 6 gonna get back Beseiju, gonna blow up Binding, get back Omnath, play a land, gain 4, and the House of Cards comes tumbling down.
Wow. Beseiju too strong.
Alright, Ross. What is worse? What just happened to Dawn, or your girlfriend gets turned into the moon? Just what's worse? Just tell me.
I have no idea.
That's rough.
That is not where I thought that question was going.
Don't worry. There's like 20 people in chat that get it. That's all I care about. Gain life. Game over. And Beseiju, huh?
If Dawn...
Can we get a shot of this playmat real quick? This Beseiju playmat? That's just...
So, Leyland Binding deals with the Ren. If Dawn can find an answer to the Omnath, I think she's still back in business. Ham's going to, gain a bunch of life. Goes down to 8, up to 12, but a couple Rhinos will make quick work of that. Even another land next turn is still a 2-turn clock.
Oh, another one.
No.
Oh, man. How many? Is that all the footfalls? No. I think there's 1 footfalls left in the deck. There's 1 in exile.
There's the second iteration. There's 2 in Ham's deck. He finds both of them.
Actually, that's all of the footfalls. There's 1 in the grave, 1 in regular exile, and 2 in suspend. I think we found a ring, and we found a Ren. Ring and Ren.
The Ren might be going upstairs.
Don accidentally revealed the breeding pool, kind of half concession, half,
Yeah, not sure what she can draw at this point, because if the Ren ticks down, puts Dawn to 1.
Oh, we're just double Ren minus thing.
Ren plus Binding is enough.
GG. All right, Dillingham takes it down 2-1, defeating Dawn Delosier. And if the standard match is finished, then I believe that's all she wrote. And they're packing it up. So it looks like Dawn Delosier's team of Dawn, Jacob Fumich, and May French, unfortunately, defeated in top 4, but a valiant effort and a wonderful match to watch.
Yeah.